Good morning. Um, yeah, so San Francisco State is having their graduation, so the little kitchen portion is like full, so I'm taking the breakfast in the inside my room. I guess I could have gone to the patio, but yeah, I just don't like being around other people. The fireplace is so nice. The other people, not so much. Um, but okay, so here's what I wanted to say as well. Like, if I were younger, knowing what I know now, and let's say that I'm just gonna give the most extreme example, and I didn't have like any resources, I didn't like know much about academia. I would not go to college in America. I wouldn't do it. I would go to Germany, um, Sweden, the Netherlands, where university is basically free, or it costs like I don't know $300 a semester, something like that. It's really inexpensive, and those are really really great universities. In 2020, they made it like in Germany, they made all the public universities free. There's like 20 of them, um, and they have really great like subsidized housing for students, and they've outlawed hate. So it's not like that in America. I was like watching kind of the students aggregate downstairs, and they were talking about post graduation and stuff. It just made me remember like how much I hated being on the campus. Like I was on the UC Davis campus, and I think I took a class at like UC Berkeley, but it wasn't good because like those places. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna put it into context for you. Like, you know how some people make the argument? They're like, yeah, my parents weren't slave owners or whatever, and so like, why should I be held responsible for everything that happened? Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay, so then, but you have to give like a full picture of the narrative, right? Like now, remember how the school shooting with the kids happened, right? And everyone's not just blaming the school shooter. Now they're starting to blame the administration. Why wasn't there a security guard? Why wasn't there an armed security guard? Why weren't the doors locked? There's a whole bunch of other people who are now being questioned and held responsible because something bad happened to some kids. Okay, so why don't people feel that same way about like the whole institution of slavery that happened for like 500 years? Like it wasn't like the white people who are maybe they weren't slave owners, but they were like passive observers, right? They were all benefiting from it. Cause see, like you don't have to compete with slaves for college admissions, right? Like so none of them you weren't competing with any black people. You didn't have to talk to any black people, and the culture at the time was to literally mock, chastise, and criticize black people and black women as subhuman. So all of their jokes are rooted in just like black inferiority. That's what's funny to them. That's why all the comedy before like 5 years ago was all about basically race. That's all comedy in America is based on race. Isn't that ironic? So when you're thinking about like, oh my god, okay, so how do I fit into this? And a bigger like the answer to that for me is like I really don't know. Why don't I know? Because these institutions have been around for so long. So it's not just like if you can make it through the degree, but also can you socialize with people who don't socialize with any black people at all ever in their whole lives. They've never done it, and all they've seen are like mockeries and caricatures of black people. That's why, so in the movie Master, the one black girl who's on campus, they think that she's Nicki Minaj. Like all they have are 3 celebrities that they were like, she's Serena Williams. Just like she wasn't even like extra special, bro. She was like one student on the campus. They were like, oh, she's Nicki Minaj. This is what white America is, and it's all day long. Think of how exhausting that must be. I would encourage you to just bypass it altogether, because you're never going to infiltrate their institutions. They're going to keep making the bar impossible to meet. And unless you're Yashahidi at Harvard, it's basically like you're nothing. So, like, who needs that stress? I mean, honestly, like, why do you need that stress? You don't. You don't. There's just way easier lives. I think we're just getting to a point in society where, like, man, like, black women are starting to have full autonomy as a collective, you know? Some black women are finding therapy for the first time. Some black women are processing, like, generational trauma for the first time. All type of shit. And good for them. Because, I mean, you can't live your life with a half cup. And it's another reason I want to keep making these videos every single day. Because there's, like, no day that I'm going to walk through the world with a half cup. And I guess I also just realized, like, how many institutions were built to, like, keep, I don't know how to put it, except, like, to keep black people and black women specifically out. Like, the whole institution was built, they should just have a sign, like, no niggers allowed. It would make more sense, and then we'd all be like, oh my god, okay, I get it. Oh, Jesus, I was confused. I thought it was, like, a non-racist, just like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, why was I so retarded? No, but so there's a kid downstairs, a white family or whatever, and they're talking about an SF state graduate. He's like looking for jobs or whatever. You know, and he was talking about how he's interviewing places, and it was just like, yeah, it's good for him. I'm sure whatever job he wants, he'll get it. That doesn't apply to us, though. Like, there is no need for us to apply to any job, really, in America. It's not going to happen. Unless you build something, you can always just really, like, build a business for yourself. That's a smart thing to do. But in terms of wanting to, like, social climb, yeah, no. Don't get me wrong, though, because I still think it's probably a great idea to go to college. I would just, if I were a woman, a freshie, thinking about what to do, I'd probably, if somewhere gave me a really good financial aid package, I would go, and then I would kind of scout the guys, basically, and be like, oh, okay, who's marriage material, kind of get to know them. Obviously, don't be like a hoe on campus. That's probably not a good idea. And then you could, like, if you really do find some interest, like law, public policy, whatever, think about going to a master's program for that. But definitely get as much education as you can, and certainly have some education for sure. Yeah. I guess that's kind of all I have to say this morning.